Those aren't words that I made up. That's what he said. And there are people willing to follow along with him. Just like there were German people that fell along with Hitler. Don't think that this country can't repeat exactly what Germany did. We're only about 250 years old. No, we're older than that, barely, just barely. Before the first 100 years, this country had a civil war. We are more split and divided as ever because this country dared to elect a Black president. Make no mistake about it. When people say they dislike Barack Obama, it's because he's Black. That's what it is. When people say they dislike Kamala Harris, if you can legitimately say, these are the policies that I dislike, okay. But 9 times out of 10, most people can't even say what her policies are. And don't tell me, well, she doesn't have any. She does. She's got a whole website. She's been out there pushing out her policies of things that she wants to do. Why didn't she do them before? That's not in the vice president's power, number one. Number two, the Biden administration has done remarkably a lot of legislation, despite the fact that this Congress has been the least productive Congress in U.S. history. So, they got 3 branches of government. I don't really know if y'all know how these things work, but she wants to enact change, bring civility back to this political landscape. He's talking about division and getting rid of his enemies, and even talking about using military to get rid of his enemies. The enemies within, that's a Hitler line. Look it up. I gave it to you, but if you don't trust me, look it up. That's a Hitler line. He's literally using the same language that Hitler used. Is he Hitler? No, not yet. And it's so crazy to me that this race is even close, because let's contrast. Kamala Harris did a town hall on CNN recently. I'll probably talk with my sister on the sibling happy hour. But before that, she did an NBC News interview before this interview, one of my favorite newscasters, Haley Jackson. But in that interview, she discussed a couple of things that she wanted to do. She emphasized the government's role in fostering inclusivity and ensuring opportunities for all Americans. Here were some of the key points. Harris is committed to supporting marginalized communities and addressing systematic inequalities. That's the opposite of fascism, by the way. She's highlighted economic equity as crucial for national prosperity. Harris stressed the need for inclusive education and healthcare systems. Inclusive education is real important. 1, every child should be getting a good education. 2, every child should be getting a correct education. You got some people on Fox News is basically saying they don't want to teach slavery and the slaughter of indigenous people. I have often said over and over and over again, if you want to praise the founding fathers for creating the Bill of Rights and the Constitution and forming this quote unquote perfect union, then you must also acknowledge all the atrocities that they and the people before them and the people after them did to several groups in this country. You can't cherry pick what you want. You gotta take the good and the bad. And that's teaching all of the education and telling the truth about this country. There are a lot of good things about this country. There are some bad things about the country too. Guess what? You got some family members. You love them, but you can also admit their flaws. It's okay to admit your country is flawed. That's fine. That doesn't mean that you don't love your country, just like it doesn't mean that you don't love your family member. Things are flawed, and it's okay to admit that. She underscored the urgency of combating climate change with comprehensive policies, and she reaffirmed the administration's focus on partnering with local organizations to empower communities and called for bipartisan cooperation to tackle pressing social issues. Good God, I'm having a tough time speaking today. I don't know what it is, but having a tough time enunciating these and pronouncing these words. But you see the difference between doom and gloom, Trump, and hope, Harris. It's clear as literally night and day, black and white, heaven and hell. I mean, look, I laid it all out for you. I told you the exact similarities and the exact pathways in which Hitler rose to power and Trump has taken over the Republican Party. It's the same thing, except Trump is not as manipulative as or strategic as Hitler was. Hitler was very strategic and taking over. Trump just kind of bullies his way and everybody bows down to it in the Republican Party. And for those Republicans that don't, the only one that survived is Mitt Romney. That's just because his district and his state love him, but he's the only one that survived. Legacies have been kicked out of the Republican Party. If you like that clip, go ahead and hit that like button. Don't forget to subscribe to catch up on all of our latest content. Don't forget to hit the notification button when you do subscribe so you can get updated every time we release content. We release content every day, whether it's an actual show or clips from the shows. So go ahead and subscribe, like, comment. Also, don't forget our Patreon page where you can find our Talking Straight-ish and After Hours Uncensored episodes. That's patreon.com/Unsolicited Perspectives. But once again, thank you again for listening to Unsolicited Perspectives. I'm your host, Bruce Anthony, and I'm going to catch you next time. I'll holla.